Help has arrived, my friends. Hey mate, what are you doing? Hey, get out of there! Oh shit! So close. G'day and welcome to episode 11 of the van build. Today I'm tackling the project that I've probably been most excited about and most nervous about, and that is installing a huge shower into my tiny home here. Now, I didn't want to opt for one of those teeny showers you see in vans where people are kind of really crouched in there. I just wouldn't see that as being comfortable, and if you're going to go to the effort of putting a shower in your van, you may as well make it one that you're going to want to use. Not only is this bathroom cubicle going to fit a big full-size shower, it is also going to have pretty much a full-size toilet in there as well. As you can see here, this is the space I have allocated for the shower. I've had to do a few minor adjustments, and there we have it. And I know what you might be thinking, which is something that I don't hear very often, but that's not that big. Well, the truth is that that's not all of it. Check this out. So this beautiful piece of kit is a pre-made fiberglass mold shower cubicle that I got from DIY RV Solutions. It is made to kind of fit the contours of an Iveco as well as a few other vans. I had to do a few alterations just to make sure it fit really as snug as possible. It is at the outer limits of the size that I was willing to put in the van, but as I said, I wanted a shower I was comfortable in. This whole area is going to be for showering, and then this area is for the throne, so you can sit very comfortably on the toilet there. And I am adding a feature to this cubicle which is going to bring it to a whole nother level, but I'll show that later in the video. After living in my last van for 2 years without a shower and a toilet, I know this is going to be such a game changer, and I'm so excited to get it installed. As you guys probably know by now, the fact that I'm now building out another van, I am addicted to living in a tiny home and a tiny space, and I think it's so cool that there's this movement around the world happening where people are all doing the same. And with that, I am so stoked that I'm partnering with Amaze for this video, and Amaze is giving you all the chance to win your very own tiny home that's valued at up to $100,000 built by Modern Living. This home is going to be fully customizable, so you could have a skylight, solar panels, your own rooftop deck for rooftop parties, a bar. You could go crazy with this thing. I would love to hear what you guys would add if you got to win it, and if it's a really unique idea, who knows, I may steal it for this van. And as if this couldn't get any better, every donation supports Path. Path is a charity that is on a mission to end homelessness, and with the COVID situation going on, their work now is more important than ever and is saving lives. So for your chance to win the tiny home of your dreams and at the same time supporting a great cause, go to amaze.com/Oki, and good luck guys. I wish I could win it. Let's get into the shower install. So that was just giving the shower a little bit of a haircut there, a little bit of a trim, because the front panel needs to sit a bit closer, so I had to shave that part off. And I think next I need to get it inside. Problem is getting it inside the van, it's pretty awkward on my own. Normally I would call in Judy, the muscle, to help me get it in, but my sister is actually staying and has stayed down for a couple of nights, so I'm gonna go make sure she's awake. Here she is.
Hey.
Laura.
Hi everyone. I was just looking over, I think there's like a fox being attacked by some birds over there.
Oh yeah? Huh. Easy as that, huh? What do you think?
It's pretty roomy.
Laura and I are just trying to kind of figure out what's next. Bidsy, do you have much trade skills?
No.
Laura is actually a qualified doctor. She would never brag about it, but how many years have you been a doctor now?
6.
6 years as a working doctor, and you're 29?
Yep, just turned 29.
Not bad. I've made a little base that goes under the toilet bit because otherwise that's free floating. So I've probably made it overkill strong, but I figured I don't know how heavy a person may come and sit on my toilet.
Hi.
You sure you have to go tonight? It's nice having a helper around.
Well, gotta get back to real life, don't I?
I thought I'd better be a good boss and give my sister the afternoon off, seeing how it's her last afternoon here and she hasn't ridden the motorbike yet. If you are thinking, wow, this guy has got 0 achieved today, you are almost correct, but I have gotten a little bit. There was a lot of sitting around scratching my ass and just trying to figure out what the hell I'm doing and how to frame this, but I have a plan for tomorrow, so I'm going to dive into it then. Good morning. Today is the day. So as the rest of the framing I've made up for the side just dries after painting, I have now been preparing the area behind the shower to be fully ready for once that shower goes in, because once it's in, it's not coming out. Because this shower doesn't sit completely flush with the wall, as you see, there's a bit of gaps. And I would have to say my one real gripe with this pre-made shower cubicle is the thing that hits first are these recess bits at the back. So not only is that annoying because I could have probably got a few more centimeters closer, which is bringing it further out into the corridor, which I didn't want. But also I've got to be ultra careful that it is not going to rub on the windows that's behind there. So I'm really padding it out to make sure that's not the case. But a good thing about having that space is that there's an area behind the shower here that I'm going to be able to put a little 40 millimeter vent through. And that's how I'm going to vent my Nature's Head composting toilet. Now this is the part that really hurts. Remember that perfectly watertight shower cubicle I had? Well, let's hope it stays that way. I definitely should have had a mask and goggles on then. I apologise. Alright, so then the idea is that this tubing, which is obviously really long, so I want to actually put it through the wall, and I'm going to put it through this flange so it sits like that and can help make it watertight there. It's a bit of a combination of my friends. My friends have this pretty much exact setup. Their Instagram's Jade and Kev. Check out theirs if you want to see the finished product. Is it just me, or does that look sus? Moving on. So I thought you'd like a glimpse of the toilet itself. This is the Nature's Head composting toilet, and I got it from Enviro Pro. They are the Australian distributor for Nature's Head, and these toilets are amazing. It sounds weird, but coming out of the box, they even smell good. Very quick rundown. This is a pee chute for it. This is the poop chute, which opens up. It's currently still got instructions in there, but normally that's where you keep your peat moss that you use to compost your number 2s. And just to show you the tubing, so hardly any has to go through here, and I've managed to squeeze the electrical wire in there. I was really careful not to damage the wire. So this is what it looks like from the back. As you can see, I've been pretty heavy on the silicone there, and that's going to keep it really water sealed and also help protect this electrical wire that's coming through. And then I've also fastened this PVC in place, siliconed around it, and then use some PVC cement, so that is going absolutely nowhere. I'll show you it from the underneath. So the 40mm PVC runs through the floor here, elbows, and then comes to here. It faces backwards so no air gets pushed in when you're driving. And this is a little bug-proof net to stop any little creepy crawlies getting up into the shitter. Okay, so framing is dry and I can't put it off any longer. It is time to put this in place. Alright, so this is a pretty tight space to build, let alone film on my own with it. But this is what is going to be seen from kind of the cab area, and this is where the main framing's happening. Now, I'm not doing standard framing like in a house because I'm going to have these 30x75s flat against the wall, and the reason for that is I need to liquid nails them to the structure. The framing is just to make this fiberglass more solid, so I'm going to do 2 uprights, one there, and then cross members. Once I start now, there's no real going back. And for attaching the framing, I'm using 50mm batten screws to go into the flooring first, and then I'm going to use a combination of 65mm batten screws and also some brackets if need be. So this is now already so much more solid. Like that wall doesn't move, and I still am yet to put a couple of cross members in that I'm waiting till I figure out the plumbing. I'm going to jump onto the next job, which is putting a light into the roof here that's also an exhaust fan. So due to the positioning of my shower cubicle inside and the fecked up shape of this Iveco roof, the only place I can really put this exhaust fan is here. Because if you look up here, it's raised, it's going to be too high because it's got to sit underneath the panel. But the problem is as well, is even here, it's still just slightly too high. I'm going to have to modify this. So that hole for once is the perfect size, which everyone loves. And so what it is designed to do is to take this 100mm stormwater reducer that reduces to 50mm, and that is how I am reducing my extractor fan so I don't have to have such a huge hole in the roof. Otherwise you have to have a big one. This is my extractor fan. It's also a light. So this will sit on like so with a couple of modifications, and then up through the ceiling, through the hole. A lot of sawdust. So after a 14-hour day, I am calling it a night. I'm bloody buggered, but I'm really happy with the progress I saw today. Night van, love you and hate you. Day 3, and I found it a little bit hard to get up this morning. So there's an easy way and a hard way to wire up the exhaust fan and light. The easy way is the one that most people do, and that's where you just run dual core to them, and it's a single on-off switch, and when you press the switch on, the fan and light come on, and when you turn the switch off, obviously it turns off. Now that's fine, and obviously every time you're in the bathroom you're going to want the light on because it's going to be a bit dark in there unless you're doing it with the door open. The harder way to wire it, which I'm doing, allows you to turn the fan on separately, which I really want because obviously moisture in the van at any point isn't ideal. So I want to be able to leave that extractor fan on sometimes to help dry out the room, but without having the light on as well. And how I've done that is I've run 5-core trailer wire, which gives me essentially 5 wires to work with, and I'm going to loop it back. So there's going to be 2 circuits there, one for the fan, one for the light. So I figured I've got a 200 amp hour lithium battery sitting there, which is probably just enough to turn on this light and fan. Let there be light. Bloody beautiful, mate. Geez, these lights are bright. The good news is I'm finally seeing some real progression here. I've framed out the door and I've used 70 by 35s and some 65mm batten screws to secure them in place. I also added some good old trusty Sikaflex all around the base of the shower before I put them in there, so it's going to be super watertight and the structure is very solid. I did have these like crazy notions of ripping the 35mm down to like 25mm just to literally save that 1 centimeter of space, because it is coming into my hallway more than I had planned. But you know, at the end of the day, for saving 1 centimeter, I think you can really get lost in the numbers, and 1 centimeter wasn't worth doing all that, and I wouldn't have got as good a finish. So it is a lovely temperature in here with the combination of the heater on and those blaring lights on my back, and I am just going to keep plugging away for the rest of the night until this framing gets done. So the mixer needs to be mounted behind the wall, and I've had to do a bit of an improvised mounting because the driver's seat headrest obstructs being able to run a batten across. So what I'm doing is I've made this little kind of 1/3 batten, and I've marked out roughly on there where the mixer needs to go. So this is the male elbow that goes through, and then your shower head attaches onto this. The problem is they've given me one that's slightly too well endowed, and I'm guessing it's because a lot of the time people have a much thicker wall to go through. And I really only need like a centimeter of thread there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut the thread. And a mate showed me a trick and he said, before you cut a thread like this that's brass, get a nut that'll screw on and screw it on past where you're cutting. And then the idea is that after you cut, if you damage any of the thread, when you wind that nut off, it kind of fixes the thread and realigns it rather than you trying to push a new one on. All right, so hopefully this should make you feel a bit better about yourselves now, fellas. Just a little stubby. Lovely. Can't believe that actually worked. So I finally have all the fittings in, and I just spent probably an hour doing a quick video shoot of the cubicle itself for some B-roll for you guys, and I also took a thumbnail, which I'd like to address. I bloody hate thumbnails and I hate taking them on my own. I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope it worked out. It was a bit of fun. And it is time for the final look at the cubicle before I sheet it in, and then obviously you won't get as good a view of it. I am bloody stoked, to be honest. I'm so happy with how it turned out. And, you know, I am by no means a tradesperson, as you've probably told by this episode or other ones. I'd like to think that this stuff for you guys proves that you can work it out and you can figure it out, even if you aren't, you know, an electrician or a carpenter or whatever, plumber. You can figure all this stuff out. It's just going to take a bit of time. And for me, it took quite a lot longer than I thought it would. This shower and toilet is going to be so luxurious. I want to quickly run you through the items in there just in case you're interested in purchasing any of them or for your own van build. Okay, here we go. This mixer I got from Bunnings. It was like 40 bucks and seems to do the job. There was ones for 200. I don't really get the difference. Now this shower head tap setup, it is by Methven and it is called the Curie Satin Jet Ultra Low Flow. So it's only 4.8 liters per minute, which is super low. My friend has it though and reckons it's really good and still gets good coverage. It's going to be really good for washing Oki as well down here. I did make the mistake, I think, of buying one of these hoses that have the metal on the outside. I think that's going to rattle when I drive, so I'm probably going to change it for a silver rubber hose. So something to think about for you guys. Okay, so my pride and joy of the bathroom setup is definitely the Nature's Head toilet, the composting toilet. I actually watched a video on the Nature's Head toilet and a guy and his wife were living in a bus, and he was saying that it composts so effectively that the two of them weren't producing enough poop that they needed to empty it, and they hadn't emptied it in 3 months because it broke down quicker than they were putting poop in there, which is insane. And considering it's most likely that I'm going to be the only one using the toilet, as I don't think Oki is going to be trained to use that one, then, you know, I may never have to empty that thing, which is brilliant. If you are looking to buy a Nature's Head toilet and you're in Australia, then EnviroPro is the distributor for Nature's Head toilets in Australia, and they have been really good. I've had to call them a couple of times because I had questions. They answered straight away or got back to me really quickly with emails. And yeah, they were just really nice to order and fast delivery. So highly recommend them. And this toilet, by all regards, so many people have talked up. And, you know, the idea of a cassette toilet and emptying it and stuff is so gross compared to something like this, which is apparently really easy to do. Okay, so wiring. I told you about how I'm doing it differently so I can turn the fan on separately to the light and fan. What I didn't tell you, I did mention that this bathroom is going to have a special feature, and the fan going on its own goes along with that. Unfortunately, the one piece that I was waiting on was supposed to be delivered like 5 days ago and it still hasn't come. so I can't install it right now, but I'm gonna show you quickly. See this vent ducting? This is 60mm vent ducting, and what I'm actually gonna do is I am going to tee off my diesel heater vent so the main outlet comes to the main space in the van, and then it's gonna reduce to 60mm, and then that's gonna run over the top of this. And that's right, I'm gonna have a vent right here in the bathroom. So my bathroom is gonna be fully heated. I'm also gonna put a hook out of the roof up here, and this is gonna double as a wetsuit drying room, as well as, you know, if I go to the snow, all my snow gear will be able to dry in here. With the heater on and the fan running, a wetsuit I imagine will dry in 1 or 2 hours, which if you're a surfer, you know there's nothing better than putting on a dry wetsuit as opposed to a cold, wet one. Whew, I am so happy with this. And finally, to even it out, I should say the negatives. It has come a little bit further this side than I planned. I am planning on replacing this seat with another double seat that's a 1 3/4, so I'm hoping I can still do the swivel. And that's pretty much it. Tell you what, I think I've earned this tonight. Finally, with the sheeting that is going here, I realized I've gotten the wrong adhesive. So I actually have to do some work with a friend for the next couple of days. So I am going to install that afterwards. I'll add it at the start of the video where I do all the plumbing for this. And for the door, I opted for a retracting door because I wanted to be able to keep it open during the day and, you know, when you're not using it. And I ended up finding a retractable shower screen called the Rollaway shower screen, and it is an absolute ripper. It's self-cleaning and takes up really little space and is super easy to install. So I'll show you installing that as well in the plumbing video. But otherwise, it's done. You know, it is such a big item ticked off the list. I'm so happy with it. It is Sunday afternoon and I am going to do my best to edit this all up and get it to you ASAP. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you appreciated the effort that went into everything, likewise, give it a thumbs up. And I will see you guys next week. Oh, and don't forget, make sure you enter in the Omaze competition. It'll be linked at the top of the video description. And I'm putting it out there, if you guys win, you owe me big time. So I expect a free stay in your tiny house. I'm gonna enjoy this space a little longer. I'll see you next week, guys.